Hey, welcome to Under Contract Live, and that is why I'm not the producer of the show. Hey, we come to you every week to help connect the dots in real estate. I would say today is no different, but it is a little bit different because we're still recovering from the hurricane. So I do not have my producer in the house today, Mr. Robbie Temfer with RMT Media. It is an RMT Media production. Make sure that you're checking out Robbie Temfer at RMT Media. We're going to wait just a couple seconds, and we are live right now, Under Contract Live. And today we're going to talk about a host of things. You know, the main topic today of the show is going to be our non-negotiables, right? I talked about this a little bit earlier in a live little promo that we'll be talking today about what our non-negotiables are as real estate agents. But before we get into that, we're going to talk a little bit about a couple of things that are affecting us right here in the Tampa Bay area and all around Florida, parts of Georgia. What recently happened in Texas, we're going to spend just a couple of moments because there were a few things that kind of caught my attention here as I was scrolling through Facebook earlier when it came to some things that real estate agents not only should know for themselves, but also for others, right? For those clients of ours. It gives us an opportunity here to reach out and help some of the people that have helped us get where we're at in real estate, right? So we're going to talk about that for a few moments. Now today, it's a little bit different because we're not on our software system that normally runs commercials and things like that. The lighting is a little bit different. We're just live. I'm coming to you right from the laptop, right? So so you'll have to forgive us for not having all of that in place today as we recover from this Hurricane Irma. However, I am able to actually see live questions on the air. And Dina, can you confirm that you're seeing me live on the air, please? Can you make a comment on the live broadcast so that I can see? I've got my wife Dina in the studio with me today and just wanted to get a quick comment. If you're listening, tuning in, make sure that you comment real quick on the show. In fact, I probably need to share this with our website, Under Contract Live. So trying to figure out how to do that. Let's see. Okay, I think I got it here. And okay. Well, I'm not really sure why I can't share it from here. I can normally share that on my phone. It's not giving me the option on here, Dina, to share.
I did it already.
Into Under Contract Live. Oh, okay, you did. You went onto my Facebook page. Okay, perfect. So we are live. It is Under Contract Live. And today we're going to talk about a couple of things. And I'm going to start with, again, the topic of the show is our non-negotiables. We'll get into those things in a minute. But I want to share a couple of things that have come to light and come to mind when it comes to, okay, this says, Dina, help me out. She's going to be my producer today. It says pin comment. So pin comment, you don't? Okay, why is it giving me that option? Never seen that before.
It just means it stays at the top.
And I know there are more viewers here, but something's going on here where it's not showing everything. Okay, so anywho, as we go through our little technical issues, bear with us. So again, a couple of things that came up on Facebook that I wanted to talk about. You know, this it was Kristen Butera who made a post, and Chris Jones also shared the post talking about the fact that we're in this time period right after the hurricane where Florida, certain counties in Florida anyway, have been declared a national disaster, and there's an opportunity here to get some forbearance on a mortgage. So your home or mortgage may qualify for some forgiveness of a few months of payments, and we're going to be talking about that for just a couple minutes. And by the way, as a realtor, this is a great opportunity, not only for you if you were affected by the hurricane personally, to make that call and talk to your mortgage company and find out if you're eligible for this forbearance that gives you maybe a few months of payments. Now, from what I understand and some of the feedback that's been going on, and I have not researched this, I have not looked into it. However, apparently, I think the way that it works, just based on some of the comments that have been made on social media, is that you can get maybe up to 3 months of forbearance on your mortgage payments but then it will come due all at once rather than being tacked on to the end. I don't know if we have some mortgage professionals that are watching. We normally do. Please let us know what's going on there if you can confirm. If not, I encourage you, obviously, you want to call your lender, find out what's going on, make sure that you qualify. Don't just stop sending payments if you believe you're eligible, right? You want to call that lender and make the arrangements. Another thing is, if you're a realtor right now and you've been affected by this, again, not only do you obviously have that same benefit if you have a mortgage, but also, as we know, as the storm approached and we couldn't write insurance policies on homes and our closings got pushed off and maybe our buyers got a little out of whack, right, and our sellers and things have been kind of put on hold, not only does that affect us, but it affects us in a bigger way because we already had sort of plans or expectations that we were going to receive commissions at a certain time, and now that has been changed, right? So one of the things that I'll recommend is I'm going to recommend a friend here of the show, Michael Rice with Commissions Express, and I'm going to ask you to give him a call. What he can do is help you get an advance on that commission if your closing has been delayed, or maybe just if you have other closings that are coming up in the future and you need to maybe infuse some cash into your situation right now. Reach out to Michael. He's at 813-712-3080. That's 813-712-3080, and I'll make sure that I put his info up on the comments here in a few minutes. But here's the thing. This is also an amazing opportunity to reach out to your clients, those who have bought homes from you, and share this information with them, right? Give them some value back. Also gives you another reason, not that you have to have an ulterior motive in a time like this. This is to help your client, as I know we all want to do. It also keeps your name in front of them, and how wonderful it is as an agent to call them up and give them possibly this good news, right? We never know what someone else is going through financially. Not only could it be a big blessing, it might be a saving moment for them, right? So as far as financially. So make sure that you're doing that. And I would say that that warrants a phone call. Some of you that are posting on social media to make sure that your clients are aware, that's amazing. Post that, put it on your website, put the link on there, whatever you need to do to get that info out, do that, right? It's a great opportunity to really be a realtor, right? A fully rounded realtor by sharing that information, right? But also I would argue, hey, this is a great time for a phone call to your clients. Get your name and face in front of them and help them out in a big way, right? So let's get into today's topic. That's enough right now about Hurricane Irma. Again, we're feeling the effects by not having our live software system in place today, so bear with me as our lighting is a little off, our sound might be a little off, our camera angles might be a little off. Okay, wait a minute, that's every week. Oh, I'm sorry, but hey, here's the thing. Let's get into today's topic, which is non-negotiables, right? What is your non-negotiable? I tweeted out a quote earlier, which was, hey, our goals are what we want to achieve, right, or accomplish. But our non-negotiables are really what take us there. Our non-negotiables are what get us there. So if you're watching today, tell me, go ahead and plug in on social media. I've actually got it up this week where I can respond. But share with me, what are some of your non-negotiables? It could be an activity that when you wake up every morning, as you know, as realtors, first of all, let me just say this again. We're in the heyday, right? This thing comes in cycles. Whether you believe the market is going to go down or stay steady or keep increasing, the bottom line is we are in the heyday, right? Things are happening. There's a lot of movement right now. So if you're not getting it right now, something's wrong, right? We got to get up each day and create that business as realtors. As realtors, we're responsible for ourselves and our business, right? So we are in business for ourselves, so we've got to treat it that way and not just expect everything to come our way, right? Or make a bunch of posts and all of a sudden this glamorous real estate lifestyle like we see on reality TV, it doesn't just happen, right? It doesn't just happen from posting or handing out our cards or wearing our name tag. All those things are great, but there's a lot more to it than that, right? So let's talk about, oh, preach, Chris Jones. There you go, brother. Thank you for tuning in, Chris. And I just shared some information before you jumped in, Chris, about the post that was going around on Facebook that you shared as well. And I believe Kristen Butera, talking about this forbearance of mortgage and how, not only it can affect us and how we can capitalize on this opportunity as far as maybe helping ourselves financially if we're in a situation where this storm has affected us, but more importantly, our clients, right? Our clients gives us a great opportunity. So you can kind of look back on that if you're tuning in late. But here's the thing. Every morning we have to get up and we have to create this business. So today I want to talk about some of the, what I call non-negotiables. In other words, you've got to set yourself up for success. And part of that is knowing that when you get up every day, making a commitment that I'm going to do this every day in my business, right? Or I'm going to do this every week in my business. Or it could be something that you're going to eliminate, right? Look, I'm going to stop doing this in my business because this just doesn't work, right? And we'll talk about how to determine if something really works or doesn't work here in just a couple minutes. But I want to talk about a couple things that I do personally when it comes to my wife. She's in the room here. She's going to be all ears now. She's like, okay, Dave, what do you do? Right? As if she doesn't know, but she probably thinks I need to be doing more. But I keep looking over her. She's smiling. But one of the things that I do is I'm constantly moving. Like even if I'm not physically moving, I'm moving in my head, right? I'm constantly thinking about how can I do this better? How can I best take advantage of certain things, whether it's in the marketplace or, with marketing, or whether it's an action that I'm going to take, right? An activity maybe that I do regularly. How can I elevate that activity? How can I make it like nobody's business, right? And we'll get into some specifics here in a moment. But some of our activities, for example, we hear a lot about time blocking, right? So time blocking is something that I'm working on currently, where it's simply just like it sounds. You block off a period of time that might be, hey, from 7 to 8 in the morning, I'm going to do this. One of the things that I like to do, especially early, is I have a ritual routine, right? I get up early in the morning. Typically, I get right out of the house and I go to typically Starbucks, which is my little office, home away from home office, right? But it gives me an opportunity to not only get out of the house for a few minutes, but it allows me to go to a place where I have a multitude of traffic passing me by every day, right? Some of you have seen my little sign that I hold up sometimes, or sit on the table sometimes at Starbucks, that says, real estate agent here, open for questions. And that's great. But the main thing is being there, showing up every day, people recognizing you, but more importantly, seeing the traffic that comes in, having the opportunity to meet and connect with people. While, by the way, and I'm not standing there at the door going, hey, welcome to Starbucks, my name's Dave, I'm a realtor, can I help you? I don't do that, but what I do become is a staple in that place. And by the way, I don't just go to one Starbucks where I'm there every single day. I'll go to like 5 or 6 different Starbucks where I'm there 2 or 3 days a week, and I kind of spread it around where I look familiar at 6 different Starbucks, right? So that is the cool thing. But while I'm there, I'm also posting. I'm posting on social media. I'm writing my to-do list. I'm thinking about what's going on today. How can I capitalize right now today? What can I do different today, right? So that's kind of my little time block. Plus, I enjoy coffee, right? I enjoy a nice, hot cup of coffee with my under contract cup, by the way. But here's the cool thing is that, this is an opportunity also for me to sit and watch a YouTube video, listen to Grant Cardone, listen to David Villa, listen to different people that I look to as mentors and say, these people are out getting it done and they do not rest, right? They don't slow down until it's time to rest, right? So that's one of the things I do when it comes to time blocking. Thank you, Robbie Timfer, for joining in. Robbie was affected by the hurricane. He's our producer. Normally, this would look a lot better than it does right now, but thanks to Robbie, he'll be back next week. We'll be in studio with a guest. We'll be doing some bigger things, and in fact, we have some great guests lined up over the next couple months. We're going to be talking to some people that realtors want to hear from. It's going to be really cool. I'm not going to announce who those are yet, but there's some really cool guests coming. So another thing that you want to do when it comes to your non-negotiables is, one of my things is that, and it's going to be different for everybody. So if you have a non-negotiable, let me know. Hi, Michelle. Lisa Marie Kennedy jumped in earlier on social media, and she said one of her non-negotiables is now professional photography and videography on her properties, right? Like, it's going to happen every time she gets a listing, every time she's going to promote a home, she's going professional, right? Had another agent say, hey, I'm staging every home, period, right? Non-negotiable, right? Teresa Da Silva, if you're watching, I know you typically tune in or you'll jump in later. Teresa Da Silva, Teresa Da Silva, that's D-A-S-I-L-V-A. Make sure that you look her up, right? Because she is a professional stager, and she will help you come and stage your home if you're in the Tampa Bay area. If you're outside of that, look up a company. Maybe that's something that you need to add to your repertoire, right? But the bottom line is everyone's non-negotiables are a little bit different, right? For me personally, it's non-negotiable. I want to do 2 to 3, I won't say I want, because see, that is kind of a Freudian slip, because when you say you want to do something, it really means it's negotiable, right? Or when you hear someone say, well, I'm going to try to do this, it's negotiable. It's negotiable. It's not non-negotiable, right? It becomes non-negotiable when you say, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing 2 open houses every week, right? That is what I'm doing. I'm going to do that every week. I'm not going to try to do it. I'm going to schedule them. I'm going to look for them. I'm going to find them. And by the way, as many of you know, you can look back at some of the old episodes on YouTube. We've loaded some of those. I got to get caught up on those. And make sure you subscribe, by the way, to our channel on YouTube. It's Under Contract Live. Pretty simple. And check out our new website, by the way. We're still working on it, but undercontractlive.com. Again, pretty simple. And like our page on Facebook, Under Contract Live. Again, pretty simple, right? But what I was getting at is that one of the things that I have on YouTube from a previous episode was when I talked about the new home builder opportunities, right? And there's lots of opportunities with new home builders, especially a lot of you are tuning in locally here in the Hillsborough County area. Many of you already know my wife jumped into real estate about 2 months ago, and within her first week, she's hosting an open house for a new home builder. There's no excuse, right? If you want it, you can find it, right? More than happy to help you with those opportunities. If you want to reach out, we'll talk about that. But here's another, we talked about activities, time blocking. We talked about one of my non-negotiables, doing open houses every week, where I'm going to meet and talk to more leads in person, right? Great leads, great breeding ground for opportunities at an open house, and you're right there in person. Also, when it comes to open houses, make sure that you continue to tune in. We've had shows about open houses before, but this is another area that's a non-negotiable for me. Is I'm looking at each of my activities, right? I want to look at each and every activity that I do when it comes to real estate, and then I want to begin to isolate that particular activity and see how can I take that particular activity to a whole new level, right? To where I am the example. That really is my goal personally. Like, I want to be the example in every single different area that I can, right? That's called growing. That's called growth. That's prospecting and masterminding to become the best at something in particular. So because I've focused in on this open house opportunity, and I'm really sold on it, right? Before you can make a sale, you've got to be what? Sold, right? You always hear that from me as my #1 tip for salespeople. But I'm sold on this open house opportunity, right? So what I have to do now is, now that I'm sold on the open house opportunity, I'm going to look at that particular activity that I'm committed to, that's one of my non-negotiables, and then I'm going to say, okay, how do I perform or create or deliver an open house that is unlike any other open house, where people look at me and they go, wow, now that is an open house, right? That is what I want my open house to look like, whether you're a realtor or whether you're a client, right? Someone who needs to sell their home. I want them to see my house, my open house, and go, oh my God, we got to get that, right? We got to do that. It's funny because Shannon Milligan with RVA team, I just shared a video that she did, and she kind of had 2 people. It was kind of a funny video, but it really drove home the point, right? She had 2 people side by side, 2 neighbors, and one was using her as the realtor, and one was put a for sale by owner sign in their yard, right? And it's kind of funny because the for sale by owner's sitting over there going, scratching his head, looking at the tumbleweeds roll through the grass, right? Because he's got no traffic. While Shannon, the professional realtor, is rocking and rolling, doing stuff at the house that's for sale, right? And the point is showing people what realtors really do, right? The fact that there's value, not only value, but what we're doing for them that they're not going to get just kind of trying it on their own, right? So really, really cool video. But the point is that the way that her for sale by owner felt in that video is the way that I want every single person in the market to feel when they see my open house, right? So take a look at every single activity, even the ones that you think you do well, right? The things that you think you do good. In fact, that's probably a great place to start, right? You always want to spend more time at where you're performing, right? My old boss in the builder world said, you want to work closest to the money, right? Closest to the money, right? So we want to stay closest to the things that are going to get us results. So if you're really good at something, I don't want to take your focus off of that and put it somewhere where you're not so good, right? You want to work on those things, but you really want to spend that time in the place that's getting you results, right? But I would say if you're good at something, you can be even better at it, right? You want to become a master at that particular thing. You want to be the example, be the standard that people go, oh my God, how do they even do that? How did they get to that point, right? It's because you're developing every day. So that's a non-negotiable. Social media, for some of you, you want to own social media, right? It's like, this is my gig. I know Gary James Knight, he's a master on here. You can follow him, Gary James Knight. That's Knight like a knight in armor, right? Knight in shining armor. He's been a guest on our show. He's a friend, and he's great at Facebook ads, right? Something that I'm not good at, by the way, that I want to eventually get to, but he has taken that particular skill and elevated it, right? And he's getting better and better to the point where now he's teaching to other realtors that particular skill. So what is it you're doing? What have you set? What do you get up in the morning and first of all, do you even get dressed, right? Maybe that is a non-negotiable. Do you get up in the morning and my wife's laughing. Do you get dressed, right? You wear your underwear all day, you on your tea bag. I mean, what's going on over there at your house, right? Send me some video. No, I don't want to see that video. But check it out. Like, what are you doing? Do you get up in the morning and do you put your clothes on and get dressed like, hey, I'm going to work, right? Even if you're an agent. Or are you hanging at home in your underwear making a phone call? Because I have a great example. I'm not going to get into the story, but people on the other end of the phone know if you're in your underwear. Did you know that? Even when you're not on video. Because it comes across in the way that you're talking. If you're at home chilling out in your underwear, they can tell. Okay, maybe not always, but for the most part, they can tell. But if you're up, walking around, dressed, ready to attack the day, right? Something different comes across that phone. You're not only more determined, but you're more on your game, right? You're focused. So I would say that, just that alone may be a non-negotiable that you need to think about. Getting up, getting dressed. And for me, part of that is getting out of the house, right? At least initially early in the morning. Then I can come back and kind of do my thing, but I really like to be out there. I really am a big fan and big believer. I know we got to get on the phone, right? We got to hammer that phone, but I'm a big believer in getting in front of the client. Get in front of the client. I'd rather knock on a door or make a phone call than do a post. The post is easier, don't get me wrong. It's much cooler, all right? I can sit here and do this, and it's fun, right? It's cool, it's fun. Man, it didn't take me any effort. I can play around, and yes, occasionally it's going to get you some results, unless you're someone like Gary James Knight, who's really focused in on making that work for yourself in a huge way. But if you're not, I'm a big fan of getting in front of a person, right? Getting in front of a person. I do a lot of sales training, as many of you know, and I always say that the best trainer in the world, well, first I usually ask, like, who is the best trainer in the world? Like, who is the person that you think is the best trainer in the world? I always ask that question, right? And I always kind of lure my audience in, if you will, and they'll give me different names, right? And then I tell them they're wrong, that it's actually Dave Cribbs, right? And then we have a laugh and whatever. But then I say, no, it's not me either. What it is it's your customer, it's your client, right? It's your prospect. They really are the best trainers in the world, but they can't train you if you're not in front of them, right? Get in front of your client, and you'll be amazed at how fast you will grow when it comes to that. It's like getting in the game, right? Because you can practice all day long, but when the coach says boom and the whistle blows, it's a whole different ball game, right? It's a whole different ball game. So recommendations. I talked about, and I'm kind of reading my notes off to the side here. Yeah, I'm cheating, right? Because we're doing something a little bit different. But recommendations. Evaluate yourself. Evaluate what's going on with your activities, right? Evaluate, do you have non-negotiables? Do you get up every day and wing it, right? Maybe you're busy. You can stay really busy all day long and get nothing done. Trust me, I'm really good at that sometimes. But you can do that, right? So you've got to be honest with yourself, evaluate where you're at, and start setting these non-negotiables and say, hey, this is it. I'm not going to make it in this business unless I do this. It's a funny thing. I'm going to my post-licensing renewal course right now. In fact, I have to go tonight. It's the 45 hours you have to do within 2 years to get your extend your license, right? Well, here's an interesting thing that takes place. There were 2 questions posed as we're going through some of the material. One of the questions that the instructor asked, and we had a classroom of about 25 people roughly, and one of the questions that were asked, because we were going over the laws of the do not call list and about calling clients and prospecting, right? And the instructor asked, how many of you are calling people? How many of you are calling, expireds, for sale by owners, whatever the case may be, basically prospecting over the phone? How many of you are doing that? Now you have a mixture. These 25 classmates are somewhere between only a few weeks into the business and as much as almost 2 years into the business, right? And there were about 3 people that raised their hand. Now the same thing happened when we got into the farming. Are you farming? Are you currently farming an area right now in real estate? And about 3 people raised their hand. Well, isn't it interesting how that kind of correlates to the failure rate in real estate, right? 70% of the agents, and by the way, there's about 1 million agents coming to our field every day now because of the boom. But isn't it interesting how that correlates to the failure rate of agents? So, there is no question that you have to overcommit when it comes to the activity levels that you have to do in order to make this business work. And that, by the way, that's just to make it work. That's not to flourish, right? You got to be an animal in this business to make it really, really flourish. It's a lot of work, right? So a couple more recommendations, some things I'm going to recommend. I recommended evaluating. I recommended taking each area and trying to elevate that particular area, right? If you're not making any phone calls, get on the phone, right? I have an image I almost sent out, and it's of a little kid with like a stack of bills acting like he's answering the phone. And I'm going to use that soon, but that's what that phone is. It's a stack of bills that's just waiting for you, right? So get on the phones. And if you're going to do phone calls, elevate your phone calls, right? Don't be scared. Don't be afraid. I know we all have call reluctance. We don't want to bother anybody. We don't want to do this. We don't want to do that. Look, if you just call, and even if you do bother someone, 1 out of 100 is going to buy from you regardless, right? So make sure that you're doing that. Another thing, this is a big thing for me. This is one of my kind of newer and non-negotiables, if you will, is that from now on, every email that I send out is going to be a video email. It's going to be a video email. And I use a great company which endorses the show, helps sponsor the show. You'll find their link on my website. I'll put the link on this particular site. And in fact, today I'll give you a free trial. There's no excuses, right? This is non-negotiable. Non-negotiable, no excuses. So I'm going to give you a link that you can click on. I'll put it down here as soon as the show ends, where you can get a 14-day free trial, where you can just use it and see if you get results. But basically how it works is it's a phone app and it's a laptop application that just goes right into your email. I'll give you a 14-day free trial. That's what they've done for me here as one of the sponsors of the show. And it's very inexpensive to maintain if you want to stay subscribed to it. But essentially what it allows you to do is just hit a button, record right in front of your computer, a video message to your client. And by the way, this is great when it comes to cold leads. Cold leads, this is amazing, because what it does is it puts, everyone imagines when you make that first phone call, they imagine what's on the other end of the line, right? Even when you get a phone call and you don't know who it is, like in your mind, you have someone pictured on the other end of the call, right? It may be good, it may be bad, I don't know. The bottom line is you're picturing, okay, Dina just posted it for me, my wife. There's the link right there on the comments, and it's you can go to that and get your free video email trial. But what's really cool about that video email is it helps to connect a name, a face, a personality, and you don't have to be dynamic to send out a video email. You just have to be human, right? Just normal. Just talk to them. Obviously smile, things like that. But the idea here is that it takes away all their fears and it connects you humanly to another person. And the really cool thing is if I send out an email with a particular message and then I turn around and send out the same email, same message, but make it a video message, my open rate goes up over 400%. Hello, people don't use email anymore. We do as realtors because that's how we get info, right? So we use email all the time. But other people have tuned out email, right? But when they get an email and it pops up and there's a video there and it's not a link, you don't have to go, you don't have to click on it and try to go to a video. It's just right there in front of you, right? And another little trick that I do that I learned from my good friend Elise Kephart in the automobile business is